Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale. Today I have a very special first-time guest on. He's actually a streamer, a marathon streamer, and he's also the record holder for the most wins in all of Clash Royale and the most 3-crown wins of Clash Royale. It's something a little bit different because normally I just have like pro contracted players on, but this is really cool too. I think you guys are really going to enjoy Gendrago. Gendrago, how you doing, man?
Hey, thank you, Ash, so much for having me on, almost at the stream, your YouTube channel. I really appreciate the spot, and I am doing wonderful.
Awesome, man. And it was your birthday like a few days ago, so a belated happy birthday.
Thank you, 29. I'm hiding behind that 30 door.
Nice, man, nice. You're going to be an old man like me pretty soon, watch out. But what we have you on today is I want to of course cover your accomplishment because that is insane. You know, like I think when everybody looks at that, they think that, oh, he's a hacker or something, right? That's the first thing that goes through their mind.
I'm not that smart.
I want to talk about a few subjects, which I think are really interesting. I think my viewers are really going to enjoy too. One is just like marathon streaming in general, and because you hold like every record for the longest Clash Royale stream. So I want to talk a little bit about that, and that's basically how you've gotten most of your wins. And then I want to transition into your 3-crown wins, because you have over 38,000 3-crown wins, and you have just over 40,000 total wins. That is an insane percentage of 3-crown wins, and you use pretty much the same deck. So I really want to focus on the deck that you use, and the deck that's got you 40,000 wins and 38,000 3-crowns. So a lot to talk about. Let's just hop right into it. Tell us a little bit about who you are, when you picked up Clash Royale, and what the heck made you want to stream for like 24 plus hours on a somewhat regular basis.
Well, I got into Clash Royale from playing Clash of Clans for many years. When Clash Royale first came out, I went right to my girlfriend Rainbow and I said, how would you feel if I made this my career? I had a 10-year career at a company where I managed a store that did about $2 million a week, hundreds of people, and I just wasn't satisfied anymore. And I wanted to build a community and make an impact on the world and just entertain people. And, you know, I said to her, how would you feel if I made this my career? And the way I wanted to stand out from, you know, there's a lot of great Clash of Clans YouTubers, one of which I'm blessed to be talking to you right now. And I'm like, how am I going to stand out? How am I going to make a name for myself? I'm going to have the most wins. So she literally jumped into my arms, said, you should do it, which I am the luckiest guy on earth, you know, mortgage, everything. It was a big decision. And when I set out to have the most wins, I literally, from dusk till dawn, did everything. I ate, showered, walked, did everything with Clash Royale in my hand.
Oh my God, that is so crazy. Wait, before we get too far along the road, I do have to address one thing that's going to be, people are probably going to comment about it, but there is a botted account out there with more wins than you. Is that correct?
Yes, I've gotten screenshots, and I got a lot of reliable sources that it shows it's a botted account. And recently, it jumped another 10,000 wins ahead of me. Now I've been streaming Clash Royale 60 hours a week, pretty steady, every single week. And this account over the last month has jumped another 10,000 wins ahead of mine.
What it does basically is when we say botted account, it's and I'm not going to name the account or anything like that because I don't want to get into any drama about it. But what it is he stays in really low level arenas and he just has an auto spam card button. And obviously,
like the bottom right corner, just
yeah.
one card.
So he gets more exactly. So he gets more losses than he does wins, but it's going 24 hours a day. You know what I'm saying?
At first, I was a little nervous saying botted, but now that it's 10,000 more, it's either multiple people playing nonstop. Because if I play over 60 hours a week, and if it's jumping me by another 10,000, you know.
Yeah, sure. Okay, well, yeah, moving on from that, I just wanted to address it because I've seen the screenshots too of some guy in 2,000 trophies or whatever, but
no challenge, no wins, no nothing. But
yeah.
I started streaming Clash Royale and started streaming in general about almost 7 months ago. I was not personally like where I am on the channel, but I was featured on like Eclipse and Clash on Gon's channel on my 15,000 and 20,000 win mark. And that was way before I started streaming. So there's records of my nonstop.
How many of your wins do you say were actually on stream? Like, what percentage would you say? I know it's a rough estimate.
Well, I've been streaming 7 months, and honestly, I play all day nonstop since I started streaming. And Clash Royale, when you're a marathon streamer, time is a weird concept. Clash Royale, would you say, is almost 14 months old?
Yep, it's about a year and a half old, yeah.
So I've been streaming half the time it's been active, and so I would say half of my wins.
Okay.
Going by
and what's your longest stream?
My longest stream, and I believe it is the world record longest Clash Royale stream, is 40 hours, 38 minutes.
Good God, that is insane. I don't know, man. How do you feel after a stream like that? Are you like utterly exhausted? Are you falling asleep on camera?
It's the closest that you can get to being injected with the zombie virus. It's
weird.
I
think that says it.
people ask, how do you stream so long? I never intended for my 3 crown and I never intended for the 3 crown wins to be a thing. I just always liked the tank archetype deck.
Really,
and I've always played. That's just what I'm drawn to. My friends think it's because I used to play World of Warcraft, and you have tank, healer, DPS, Trinity. It's just what I always play, and that allows me to get more 3 crowns. And a lot of times, with my weird strategies, they'll think I'm going for their princess, and all of a sudden, I'm like knocking, "Hello, king, bye-bye, king." Or it turns around on me, and
and I wanted to transition a little bit about the deck that you play. So, like, you have the Gendrago special deck, right? And it's an off-meta deck. Before we get it, you guys can see
this deck I've been looking for about 40,000, 40 to 60,000 games, I would say.
Jesus, that's insane. So you
since
must be able
Graveyard came out, pretty much.
You must be able to play this deck with your eyes closed.
Yes.
Or close to. Okay.
Yes.
So if there's anybody who has a good grasp on a deck, it's going to be you on this deck. So let me first, I don't even know where to start, man, but let me start with, why do you prefer to play Wizard in the deck? Wizard's like the most off-meta card inside this deck. Why do you still prefer Wizard over like Executioner or E-Wiz or whatever? You have like all the legendary cards.
Well, E-Wiz, and I was happy to hear you say, because I was saying on stream, and I was thinking it, I haven't heard anybody say it yet. E-Wiz, my E-Wiz is level 3, and until you get a level 5 E-Wiz when you're playing at the top of the ladder, your E-Wiz is going to get killed by a fireball. So E-Wiz is not a ladder option for me, and it won't be for a while. You know what I mean?
All right. But you would make the switch though if you had like a max E-Wiz.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, I guess 40,000 games, 60,000 games with one deck. I guess you're kind of partial to it at this point, right?
Well, even like when E-Barbs first came out and everybody was saying they were super overpowered. No matter what it was, I was like, I don't care. I'm going to figure out a way to work my deck around it. The Gendrago special deck has a couple key components to it that make it successful. One is when you're playing any kind of beat down deck, you can take tower damage, and that's okay. However, I take that to an extreme. I have no problem sometimes letting a tower die to charge up and push the other side for a straight 3 crown. But what the Wizard does very well, if put on the most right square you can go without going to the right-hand side, generally the Wizard will defend the right tower and then go up the left-hand side if I'm pushing like the Golem to the left, or vice versa. So the E-Wiz is a great defense card that goes into an offense instead of just going off into the random lane by his lonesome self to die.
Okay, I like that, and you can see in the background.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and you can see in the background how you use this deck, and like, I'm glad you touched on it early because you, almost more than any player I've ever had on, you'll take damage like a beast. You could care less like losing a tower. Like, it doesn't even. you've gotten to the point where you're so cool with losing a tower that you don't even comment on it when you're streaming. Like, I'm not even sure if you noticed this, but like, you know, most streamers would be like, okay, I'm gonna give him that tower probably here, or he's probably gonna take my tower. But like, at this point, you're just like, yeah, this is just what I do. Like, I don't even care, you know?
What most people can relate to is my princess towers are Vegeta. They will die for Goku to save up a spirit bomb and kill whatever boss is threatening the world. And then Goku, aka my golem, will just come on through and just rock it. No,
All right, man.
no
I don't know what the heck you're talking
fun.
about, but
You don't know
it
Dragon
sounds
Ball
good.
Z? Oh no.
I'm old, bro. I'm old. I was like 10, 20 when Dragon Ball Z came out or whatever. But listen, back on subject, right?
Can I go over the other parts that make the deck?
Yeah. Well, here's what I want you to do is before we get into the kind of like the actual gameplay, would you be willing to kind of take us through all the cards in the deck and just giving us like 15 to 30 seconds on how you play that card within the deck? That way we can maybe put all the puzzle pieces together and have a good feel for what you're trying to do.
Absolutely, because this deck is very hard to, my playstyle is hard to understand without watching it for a while. But let me go through them all. So the Golem, I'm not afraid to start. We'll start with the Golem.
Yeah.
Not afraid to start with the Golem on the back. Couple things. If I start with the Golem on the back and they would like say Goblin Barrel the other tower, I will let the Goblin Barrel do the full damage. Reason being is with my strategy. If I defend that and then they have an Inferno Tower or an Inferno Dragon, that 8 elixir just got wasted. And I won't have enough for a first push. And I know it's a little abnormal sometimes to start with the tank, but that's what I do. And the Golem comes in handy in many different situations. Yes, I am very aggressive. Now the Furnace, Furnace I also use in the same concept and way I use the Wizard. I'll put the Furnace going on whatever tower I'm deciding to attack, but I'll let the Fire Spirits, if you have, depending on the placement, if you have a Hog Rider barrel, the Fire Spirits will go, say I'm attacking the left, the way I place my Furnace, the Fire Spirits will go to the right and attack whatever, is on the right-hand side, generally speaking, and then go up and attack whatever tower I'm going.
So you're essentially... Yeah, you're like mitigating a little bit of damage using the Wizard and the Furnace in the correct placement in the lane that you want to attack.
Yes, defensively, but the primary goal is to go wherever the whatever tower I'm pushing with the Golem.
One more question on Golem is are you ever playing? I know sometimes you play aggressive Golems like at the bridge or whatever, or right at the King Tower, or in the pocket even. Like where and when are you playing the Golem anywhere besides behind the King Tower?
It's rare, but when I do, sometimes if I'm behind in a match and they start, say, their tank in the back corner and I'm already a tower down and they're a tower down and they're coming after, their tank's coming after my Princess Tower side, I might surprise them and pop a Golem right at as far as you can get going towards their king, because they just spent all that elixir on their tank and their tank's in the back, and I'm going right for the 3 crown. And I have a lot of versatility in my deck with the Graveyard, Skeleton Army, the Wizard to make that happen. It's not normal that I do that all the time, but sometimes I do. Okay. And also being a marathon streamer, sometimes you just have some fun with something.
You just switch it up.
Like Leroy Golem, just go on in,
All right. So tell us about the other win condition, Graveyard.
The Graveyard, I generally only use when I push with the Golem. However, if I do have a really odd hand, say I don't have the Golem coming up, starting hand, and I just have Zap, Fireball, Graveyard, and Skeleton Army, say, I don't mind using the Graveyard if I have a Zap and Fireball in my hand without the Golem push on two conditions, whether it's the starting hand condition or it's just one of those decks and one of those games where no matter what I do, I can't seem to break through with the Golem over time or not, and it just seems to even out with the defense. Then I'll switch it up, throw the Graveyard, solo dolo. They won't be expecting just a solo Graveyard, but if I have the Zap and the Fireball in my hand, it does a lot more than some would think, as well as zapping a tower. Even those extra milliseconds that the skeletons can get around the tower can really do a lot of damage.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that's a pro play. I've seen pros do that on a bad starting hand as well. So obviously you're saying that most of the time though you're comboing the graveyard with the golem. So give us an ideal push in normal elixir time. So for example, let's say you have golem, graveyard, skeleton army, and wizard in your opening hand, and you decide to play the golem. Like, what would be your optimal push? Like the best case scenario.
My best starting hand, best case scenario.
Yeah, like I guess like what is your biggest threatening push in the best case scenario?
Best case scenario. I start with the golem. I start with the wizard, the furnace, and the graveyard. What I'll do is I'll actually put the furnace first. Depending on what they put, I might just let the tower take damage. I might defend a little bit, but then I'll start with the golem, and I always generally tend to go towards the left-hand side. So the furnace will be towards the left, and the golem will be going towards the left. Then I'll have the wizard to go on the most right middle square you can, while still going to left to defend whatever they put on the other side, and then go with the golem, and then graveyard, and go for the kill. That's my ideal starting hand, because they'll take my tower and be like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's doing, or he's disconnected. Be like, no, I gave you that tower, and I'm taking your, we're trading it for a king.
How many times have you gotten the king tower on the very first push? Is it like a frequent? I mean, does it happen that often, or is it just very rare?
That's a tough question. I guess it depends on the definition of often. When my average stream is like 20, 24 hours, it'll happen
a few times.
Maybe like 20, 30 times. But that's not really often when you're doing so many games in one span.
Sure. Okay, now I need to ask you about Skeleton Army, because that is really one of you call it the Gendrago special, right? And that's like your special move that you really try to, punish your opponents on. So tell us about that. It's a really important part of the deck.
Yes. And my deck and that move is called the Gendrago special, just in case anybody's confused out there.
Noted.
Before the move one, the Skeleton Army is the way I try to utilize it is key to its success. So instead of trying to wrap it around, the tank that's coming in or one of the troops, if there's a melee troop and a ranged troop, or if there's any kind of spread out troops, I will place the Skeleton Army, even if Musketeer gets a shot on my tower or whatever the case may be. I'll then wait and I'll place it in between the melee and the ranged troops. And generally what that does is make it very hard to zap and very hard to log. And you get the most value for your, most bang for your buck. And that's why I like the Skeleton Army, and one of the ways I utilize it for my advantage. Now, the Gendrago special, when one of their towers is down, and a lot of times this is how it goes, I push with the golem, kind of like we were saying with my ideal push, and I have 2 golemites left, 1 golemite left. I put the Skeleton Army right in the corner pocket with the 2 golemites or 1 golemite there, and generally the natural reaction of the opponent will be to arrow, log, zap, or defend their princess tower, and that's not what I'm going for. When you put them in that corner, they split around in a nice, somewhat even split. And I'll even sometimes, if I have it, I'll throw a zap on the princess tower and king tower. And that extra millisecond and that golemite's HP, it can really either kill a king or eat down a king way faster than expected.
I just want to reiterate, because I've seen you do this so many times now that it's surprising that people don't pick up on it. And you always say it. You're always like, Gendrago special, here it comes. And you're essentially just putting the Skeleton Army. When you say the corner pocket or whatever, it's basically just the pocket. You're putting it in the center of your opponent's arena. And you can see it on the replays here. But you're right. All the time, the opponent, they zap, they protect their crown tower, and then the golemites and the skeletons finish off the king tower. It happens like all the time. It's crazy.
And that's where, you know, things can go really well or really wrong. But nobody expects that. Nobody expects to go for the king, you know, going up on, you know, I ended last season like what 1100 and change global. Like nobody expects that you're going for the 3, that you're gonna, you know, it's their natural reaction to defend the princess tower because that's the next one that generally people go for.
It's because your push is already dying out, so they think it's kind of over, you know, oftentimes. But
and they see like 10 skeletons going towards their princess.
Yeah.
You know, and they're still hitting the golemite, and they're like arrow zap, and like, oh, king, where'd you go? I miss you so.
Yeah. So let me ask you this as my last question for you, Gendrago. What would you say is your most difficult matchup with this deck, and how do you handle it?
Well, about a week ago, there was a huge resurgence in P.E.K.K.A.s.
Yes.
P.E.K.K.A.s, I mean, that's the golem's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
And from all the meta changes, all the adaptations, I was having a rough time. So against P.E.K.K.A.s, what I would do is instead of the normal graveyard spot, I would put it a little bit more in front of the tower to try to get the P.E.K.K.A. to get on some of the skellies before the golem, and or try to cycle well enough and, you know, memorize where their cycle is to get a skelly army out. And those are one of the times where like the minions come in handy, the mega minion, excuse me, comes handy, flying over the P.E.K.K.A. and then doing a graveyard, or just against any kind of bowler type deck. Mm-hmm. But P.E.K.K.A.s is my kryptonite. P.E.K.K.A.s and electric wizards. Electric wizards, they're rough. They're rough to deal with, especially with my deck. And
so what do you do?
Just being creative in the situation.
Yeah.
With the graveyard placement, with the skeleton army placement. Like I've done things where I've had mega minion like countering a princess and putting the wizard on the other side, and then if I have two troops going up 2 lanes, I'll split the skeleton army up between them both, so there's no, you know, try to, you know, pump fake and be like, oh well, either tower's in trouble. But luckily the P.E.K.K.A., you know, reinsurgence kind of died down a little bit, but it's just kind of on the fly, honestly.
I gotcha. So, but you do have the tools in this deck to kind of handle a variety of different situations, you know? And that's the good thing about having the graveyard as your win condition, because even if they have like an Inferno Tower, Inferno Dragon, like you're not too concerned about it. You have Zap and you have the graveyard, right?
Yes, and you know, you place them, you know, even against an Inferno Tower or Inferno Dragon, place them a little bit, place the graveyard a little bit in front, or you place it so it best protects your golem going in, you know?
Sure. Well, Gendrago, congratulations, man, on all these wins. Like, and be careful of your health, dude. I feel like I should wish you, you know, to make sure you take care of your well-being on your 40-hour streams. You know.
I want to say I do not want anybody to break that record, and it's not because I want the record. I have been cutting back to about, like, you know, 20-hour, 15-hour streams. Still 60 hours a week, but I've been cutting back my stream times. And honestly, everybody goes, "How do you stream so long? Why do you stream so long?" And it just when you're playing the game you love and you're with the community you love, I honestly don't want to get off.
Yeah.
I really just never want to get off, and that's just the simple answer to it. I never had an intention of having. I think the most wins I've seen besides the botted account, and, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, like around 20,000. I never had an intention. The 3 crown wins, that just kind of came up, and I never knew I would get this far ahead on wins, but it's just doing what I love with the community I love. It kind of just comes natural.
Well, you're a really passionate guy, and you're a really positive guy, and that's what really initially drew me to you, not your win record, your stream record. So congratulations again. Another happy belated birthday. I'll make sure I include a link to your Twitch. You guys, basically, if you're ever interested in his stream times, you just go on his channel, because more likely than not, he's streaming. So, any shout outs, anything like that?
I always post on my social medias when I go live. Always. Twitter,
okay, cool.
Twitch.
I'll include all that in the description, guys. Any shout outs before we let you go?
I just want to, well, yes, I mean, I wouldn't be here without Squid, aka Louie, and Rainbow, um, my girlfriend of almost 5 years now, Janine. And yes, in real life, we do call each other Rainbow and Janet by accident quite often. They, you know, it's it was a it's a crazy it's crazy to quit your job and go after this, and like food is good, housing is good, and they supported me. And I just want to tell everybody, not encouraging any of the craziness level that I've done, but go after your dreams. I didn't want to turn around and be 50, 60 and just never went after what I wanted to do in life. And out of the 359 or 8 degrees that I turned around, everybody was saying I was crazy before I started streaming. And I had Rainbow and Squid, those 2 degrees in the 360, being like, I believe in you. You can do this. You're not crazy. And I would not be here without them. And I also just wanted to, I am not going to shout individuals because there's so many unique clowns, fan individuals. This video would be like 2 hours, but I just want to thank everybody who's been on my stream and supported me. And I want to shout out to you, Clash Rash. I appreciate the opportunity to be on your video.
Thanks, man. And that was one of the most heartfelt shout outs I've ever heard, man. And I'm sure there's going to be comments of people on this video saying, dude, no life. Are you insane? Blah, blah, blah. But the truth is like, the people who just hate on random YouTube videos are the people with no lives, I think, honestly. Or hate on someone's, I don't care about hitting on me, but hitting on someone's passion and accomplishments. And like you said, I mean, you do have one of the most engaged and amazing communities that I've ever seen. And it's because you guys all hang out together. You're like friends, and you're all passionate about something that you do. And I think it's really cool, man. So thanks again for coming on.
Thanks again for having me. It's my pleasure.
No problem. So guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed this. Good luck with the deck if you give it a shot. Another shout out to Gendrago Gaming. You can check out his information in the description below. You can also check out my YouTube partner, Bren Chong. His information is also in the description below. Show them both some love, guys. And as always, take care, guys.